Melody here with and Sam. Okay. So we did our top albums of the year thus far. Keith didn't participate because he was poning dudes with a thermal scope and what the hell is that? and cod blops too. Anyways, we're here to talk about our most disappointing albums of the year so far. Albums that we just had high expectations for that just, fell short or whatever. And albums that we're just excited for the rest of the year. This is just kind of a homo video that we just decided to do. Yeah. What disappointed y'all?
I only have one, it's Bring Me the Horizon. So I talked about in the last video, but I feel the lyrics are, not exactly what I was looking for. And just after listening to it a couple times, it's not something that I feel I'll really listen to the rest of the year. I'm not saying that it's bad. It's for me, not for me. That's what not for me. Not for me. It's not whatever. It got old.
Alright. The ones that I found really disappointing, which I'm just going to throw this one out here because I wasn't really disappointed, which was Temper Temper by Bullet for My Valentine. I had a really good feeling that album was going to be terrible, and it did not disappoint. So actually, that album is not a disappointment of the year. It lived up to every expectation I ever had of it. But on another note, one of them was, and I'm pretty sure this kid's going to have the same album, Super Collider, Megadeth. I expected a lot more from Megadeth, especially after 13. I love 13. I still listen to that album a lot. It's just that, I listened to that album once, and I don't want to hear a second of it ever again. That's, it's so unoriginal.
You feel that you're all alone.
Shut up. I guess you returned the favor when I got it stuffed in your head. But, other disappointments I had was,
What?
yeah, or whatever. Was Alice in Chains, their new album. I mean, again, it's another just like the Megadeth album. I expected a lot more from Alice in Chains. Black Is Way to Blue was a good album, and I enjoyed it. And I guess if you're comparing it to the old stuff, it'll always kind of be a little bit of a disappointment. But it's just that, all the songs sound the same. And looking back since the last time I've listened to it, I probably, except for Stone and Hollow, I probably can't tell you a name of another song on there. I differentiate between what they sound like. That was main problem with that album. I think the only other one that was a slight disappointment was The House of Golden Bones Part 2 of Stone Sour. It was, the first part was amazing, and I loved it. And then the second part wasn't bad, but it was just didn't have a lot of the moments from the first album. It didn't have, I'm trying to think of the song name now. It's one of the ballady songs on the album. But, it didn't have, those ballady moments, and it just didn't hit me as well as the first one, so that was a bit of a disappointment. So, those are my 3 disappointments of the year.
Well, yeah, Bullet for My Valentine is really a disappointment. But if I had to make a shitty albums of the year list, then that would certainly be on there. Megadeth kind of super collides right into a fucking wall. Kind of super collides straight up Dave Mustaine's asshole. And that album is so awful. It's so boring. It's so painful to listen to. And it makes your ears bleed. It makes you want to rip your eyes out. Fuck. And you just want to kill everything because it's so bad. And yeah, that album's pretty much as bad as Risk, if you ask me. So yeah, that album sucked. Another disappointment I had was Within the Ruins with Elite. I thought that album was, pretty, samey, pretty boring, very not interesting. Invade, I still listen to that every once in a while. It's still a solid album, but I feel that, Within the Ruins, their style just gets very old very quickly. And if that's going to be their style for, the next 3 or 4 albums, that's going to be pretty painful to listen to. And after this album, I don't really think I'll be listening to any new material from them anytime soon. It just, I just thought it was going to be, pretty good, but it just was more of the same to me. And so I didn't really think that. There was something else. Honestly, I would put Alice in Chains, The Devil Put Dinosaurs here on my disappointment list. That album was number 4 on my best of the year list so far, but it still was kind of a disappointment just because I expected something different. And, the lack of musical variety kind of hurts it, if you ask me. But, it's still a good album. I expected so much more from it that it just didn't really fulfill my expectations 100%. What else disappointed y'all?
I haven't really listened to much else yet, so
I didn't really listen to anything this year. Like 15 albums tops. It was hard to make a top 10 list. I really had to pull a lot together. Just because I guess over time I really found out what I'm aiming for and try not to take a risk with too many things. One thing is the one that people say is really bad, but it's kind of funny. Attila, people say that their new album is really bad, but it's their style, I guess. So you kind of have to say that it's not bad or good. It's their style. You have to have a bit of humor about it sometimes.
But that's the most controversial album of all time, according to Franzak. Chris.
Oh yeah, he talks a lot about his band. Not that it's a bad thing. Not you can't do that.
But how's an album controversial? Controversial. I can't talk.
He says the F word a lot.
So do rappers.
He talks about drugs, probably. I'm guessing just from his last album.
A lot.
He probably talks about sexual stuff. I don't see it. I'm just saying whatever's on is controversial.
Another disappointment that me and Keith, all of us really shared, was that I don't think there's going to be a new Amir album this year.
Oh, God.
And that is extremely disappointing.
Just, God,
If anyone can tell me, I'm not trying to make a joke or anything, if anyone can tell me if Winds of Plague is still making music. I was just wondering that because I haven't heard about them in a while. I'm not sure if they're taking a break or whatever, but Born of Osiris' new song isn't exactly what I was expecting.
Yeah, that was very
Well, it was what I was expecting because, no offense to the band, everyone always says it, but Jason was you think Beethoven away from an orchestra. It's like the orchestra isn't going to play what Beethoven is thinking.
Yeah. Jason Richardson was kind of like the key and unlocked Pandora's box with that band, and now it's just...
They've learned stuff from him. You can tell they've learned stuff from him. But
yeah, it's still... That song, I'm not going to judge the whole album based on one song, because maybe that's just a bad egg in the whole bunch or something. I'll listen to the whole album before I judge, everything. But so far, from that song, I was not impressed. It was just the same breakdown the entire time. Legitimately, listen to the song. It is the same breakdown over and over and over again. When you think it's about to change to something different, boom, here comes that breakdown again. It's just... That was just really disappointing.
What are we looking forward to the rest of the year?
Keith?
Me?
Keith?
There's a lot of albums that I plan on giving a listen to.
Well, what are they?
Speak, child.
Iced Earth, what's it called?
Plagues of
Babylon.
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 Warbringer's putting out a new album, which I'll definitely be excited for. Trivium is another one that's gonna be big for me. And also, I'm looking forward because I kind of want to check out a couple of bands, so I figured I'd, let some of their newer albums be how I introduce myself to them, with bands like, let's really listen to Revocation, haven't listened to much of them. Battlecross, haven't really listened to much of them either. The new Behemoth's coming out, I really want to check that out, and that's all I can think of off the top of my head. So, yeah.
Me, Battlecross is going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to Exhumed and Revocation. I know those albums are going to rule. Flesh God Apocalypse, Agony was a disappointment. And even the more I listen to it, the more I can't get into it. Because it's just very much of the same. And you kind of, there's so much symphonic stuff going on that it just drowns out the guitars. And once you hear the guitars, you realize they're not really playing any riffs. They're just tremolo picking the entire time. It just gets really old, really quick. And I loved the Mafia EP and Oracles, their first album. Those two are phenomenal. But Agony was just almost way too over the top for me. And it's just, I didn't really dig it too much. But maybe the new album will be good. Pathology will be brutal. Dream Theater, that'll probably be awesome. Iced Earth, Skeleton Witch, Trivium Warbringer, Behemoth, and Carcass is what I'm looking forward to for the rest of the year. What about you, homie?
Basically, as long as I can see in chronological order, its counterparts coming out in July, this month sometime. I'm excited to see how their album turns out and everything. I have some pretty good expectations for it. I guess Trivium, just to see how it is and everything. It's interesting. I don't know. Devil Wears Prada, of course.
What about Iwabo?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna listen to that. Chelsea Grant, if it comes out this year. I don't listen to too much music that much anymore. I don't experiment all over the place as much as I.
I know
used to
Oceano
try
hasn't
to.
been coming out. I don't know how
It's
good
Sigiones.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And is Blood Runs Black is crowdfunding their new album, so it might not be 5 years.
Oh,
But they got rid of all the Mexicans.
Conducting from the grave.
Oh yeah, that album's gonna rule if they get that out. Devil Wears Prada, are you stoked on that?
It's gonna be dank.
Dank. It's gonna
Good
be
quality.
it's gonna be so basic. All right.
I don't know what we're doing.
I don't know
what we're doing
It's just
either.
kind of rambling on. That's what we're excited for. That's what you should expect to see reviews of. All that chat. Let us know what you're excited for. Let us know what just, made you make a sad face and shake your head this year. Because we have a half a year left. Shit. Shit is right.